2 snoozes, but I'm out. I'm up and at them. Coffee is on. I think it's time for a new brewer. Just when I want to spend money. Okay, so now we have to do the roast report. I like to do the roast report while I'm at home drinking a coffee, rather than being in the cold warehouse. Finally made it out of the door, running a little bit late. It's 6:30. Yeah, there's always a little bit of anxiety getting out of the door. Production days, they either work or they kind of fall apart. It's really important to find a rhythm, and that can be nerve-wracking, just thinking about that. If you're not a roaster and you're not in production, you mightn't really understand this, or even would have thought of this, but as a production roaster, you need to find a rhythm. You know, you're not just sitting at the machine, at the roaster, happily roasting. You're busy weighing out the next batch of coffee. You're watching the data logger. You're observing the beans develop in the trier, and you need a rhythm. Very strict rhythm, and then if you fall out of that rhythm, it's really hard to get back into it. And people just think, oh, hey, can you add this on? When we get a late order that comes in, the whole team has to stop. The whole team has to stop. They all have to recalculate the numbers. We have to factor in green weights versus roasted weights. There's shrinkage. The people printing labels have to stop and think about what they're doing and reprint labels that they've already already finished for the morning, and then people have to rebag and retool, and so when customers do put a late order in, it really does throw a spanner in. A roast cycle goes a little bit like this. Put the coffee into the roaster, we call that charging, and then at around 1.5 to 2 minutes, we leave the roaster, we go weigh out the next batch of coffee, so it's ready. We have a 3-pound scoop, and we might be roasting 45 pounds up to 75 pounds, depending on what roaster it is. So you're scooping there for a little bit. You're back at the roaster to check. You might do a heat adjustment. You're checking the beans for the development. You're making sure that you're on track with your preferred roast profile. At 7.5 minutes, the way we roast, we make a second adjustment, and emptying the cooling tray. We got to go get a new food safe bin, line it so we don't do any sort of cross contamination. Put it under the cooling tray, let the coffee out and catch it in the bin. Set a roasted bin tag on it that's from the prior roast, and then send that down to the packing crew or to the blending station, wherever it needs to go. And then you're coming up into a very critical part of the roast, first crack, and then you can't leave the roaster. You're checking the trier, checking the beans, watching them develop, going from orange to brown, and right at the right time, temperature and color, you have to best estimate, you have to use your best guesses, I guess, or educated guesses, to pull the, drop the coffee out of the roaster onto the cooling tray. And so it's not just, you're not stagnant. You are constantly moving, you're constantly on, you're fielding questions from the staff. Our roasters are like head chefs. They have to know everything. They have to have the answers for everything. They have to answer questions from the blending station. Are we mixing overages in? Are we not? Are we, fielding questions from the label station? New orders coming in, stopping, resetting, recalculating. And if you get out of that rhythm, you can be out of it for hours, and it's just a bad day. Anyway, when you're in that rhythm though, and everything's working well, it's awesome. It's really good job. It's super rewarding. That rhythm, when you get it, it gives you a high. If you can nail that all day, you walk out of that roastery feeling good about your day. If you are not efficient and you're spending minutes between roasts because you're out of a rhythm and you're like weighing out the next batch when you should have done it earlier, and you slow down production, and that takes time and costs money. It accumulates. So every minute is somewhat critical. People want to learn how to roast and think it'd be cool. It's hard work. It is hard work. There's no doubt about it. Just pulling into the warehouse. Let's see what this day brings. We had a friend of ours make us face masks, reusable for our entire staff. So, what do you think? I think they look pretty good. Alright, we have a ritual here where we yell first batch of the day. Something we've always done. I don't know why we do it, but it's a bit of fun. And away we go. Poor Danny, our apprentice, has had technical issues on the lowering, so it's now, I think he was only able to manage his first batch of coffee at 9:30 when really he should have been up to six batches. So we're behind schedule. It's a little bit frantic, but I think he's finally found his rhythm now. Had some issues and some delays on receiving orders, and this is the result. Production lines stopped. There should be at least 4, if not 5 people packing there, and we've just got to stop and figure out what's going wrong. Hi.
Hi.
What are you doing?
Trying to pack what we can.
All right, that's it. We're done for the day. It's 6:15, and all the crew are done. They worked incredibly hard. We had some technical issues on the roaster this morning, and that set us back 90 minutes. But the packaging crew really worked hard to catch back up. Yeah, it's great. So we had a morning shift come in at 7 a.m. with me. We had a mid-morning and then a midday shift come in. So we're incredibly thankful that we still have work to do. We wouldn't have work without you guys buying coffee for home and supporting us at home. So incredibly thankful for that. Yeah, it's been a long day. I've been up since 5 a.m. prepping for the day, and I think it's time to go home and have some pizza.
There's nothing more